Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of our podcast, zici. In English, how are things? As you might notice, today is our first ever episode in English. That's because we have a very special guest joining us, a guest that has been a long time coming, and that is none other than His Excellency, the Ambassador of the State of Israel to Romania, Mr. Reuven Azar.
Thank you very much for joining us. We know you have a tight schedule.
Thank you, Matei and Maria. I'm honored to be here.
We know an ambassador has many responsibilities and duties during its mission. So could you further develop these missions and responsibilities?
Yeah, why not? Well, an ambassador has, some representative roles, but also has, a mission to make a difference in the relations between two countries. This is what I believe in, because you could basically spend your life dealing with ceremonial things, but at the end of the day, what we are asking ourselves all the time as individuals is, okay, what is the difference that I can make? So this is what I'm trying to do, to make a difference, basically.
And how did these responsibilities change following the 7th of October? Because I imagine there were changes.
Yeah, of course, we had to focus more on the situation and the challenge that we are facing, and trying to explain why we're doing things that we're doing. On a day-to-day basis, usually we focus more on the bilateral relations. So when I arrived to Romania, I tried to, first of all, learn, what people have been doing so far, where are the fields in which we have the highest potential, and what I can do about it to untap the potential of the relations. So I've been focusing mainly on that, and crafting projects on that, and having interviews on that, and getting the funds to do that. But of course, when the war started, it was very important that our voice is heard. So we did the maximum effort to get exposed to the media in order to present our case. And since then, this is what we've been doing mostly, but never forgetting that we still have responsibility on the bilateral. So now it's more like a balance between the two.
Mm-hmm. So as you said, the media has a great impact on people's minds. And I wanted to ask you, a few days ago, there was this mass reposting with the message with all eyes on Rafah. What's your say in this, given that Israel has one of the best artificial intelligence in the world?
Well, I think that when it comes to the realm of media and social media, Israel faces a huge challenge that has to do with several factors. The first factor is just a factor of quantity. We are only one state in an ocean of Arab and Islamic states. We are small in population, so the number of users that we have is pretty small compared to others. And the other challenge that we have is qualitative, because there are countries like Iran, like Qatar, and political factors also in the Western world that are very critical of Israel, that have a media power that is very difficult to match. So just to give you an example, Al Jazeera channel, which is very hostile to Israel and supports Hamas, and the channel in Arabic, supports Hamas and is very anti-Israeli, they have a budget of about $1 billion. Whoa. Okay? So the budget of the entire Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel is about that. Okay? So when it comes to, although we have one of the best digital media units compared to any foreign ministry in the world, when it comes to channels and exposure, it's only a drop in the ocean. So it's very difficult to challenge that. When you add TRT from Turkey, for example, that has been also very hostile. When you have Western outlets like BBC that have been adopting a line that is very critical to Israel. So you have to deal with a huge amount of challenge, and it's very difficult from that point of weakness to create a trend in social media. And therefore, this is basically a battle that we are losing. With the exception that at the end of the day, there are undercurrent trends that are not being noticed by the media that are very powerful since the 7th of October, because the effect of the atrocities that people saw, there are those who hate us anyway, then they will disregard all the facts and all the pictures. But what Hamas did, not only in terms of the nature of the crimes that were abominable, but also the way that they boasted about it. Okay, this really shocked a lot of people, and it created a huge effect that we don't see it manifesting itself on a day-to-day in television, but has huge influence in the perspectives of people. And I think that this is the reason why, when it comes to polls, we see a huge support for Israel in the American public, for example, about 80%, that support the complete eradication of Hamas. We see it also in polls in France and in other countries that people are very supportive of Israel, despite the fact that when it comes to the day-to-day media coverage, our image continues to be pretty negative.
And you also mentioned that there's a large number of people who are already set on, for example, not supporting Israel regardless of the facts. And I think that the component of disinformation, especially created by AI, like Maria mentioned, is also something I thought we could talk about. So how do you, for example, plan to combat disinformation in the war?
Well, AI is just a tool, but it's a tool that creates exponential effect. So when you have a strong side and a weak side, the strong side will actually get exponentially stronger as a result of AI if they use AI. Israel is more concentrated in the war effort itself. We invest most of our budgets in defending our population, in producing defense systems to cope with the missiles that are being thrown at Israel, and all the multiple ways in which Israel is being attacked on a daily basis that most of the people don't know or see, for example, in the cyber domain. And, of course, in investing in the military power that we need in order to defeat the aggressors. So there's not much left to deal with information campaign. And as a result of that, as I said, the amount of resources we're investing against disinformation is very low. And generally speaking, you have today a situation in which this is a challenge for the West, because we don't want to do things that are against our principles. So because of the fact that we are a democratic country and because we share values with other democracies, we are very prudent when it comes to blocking content. Okay,
I think
this is something that we've been dealing with many big corporations around the world that have developed tools of social media, etc. But when it comes to stopping or trying to lower the number of problematic content, whether it be hatred or calls for violence, etc., they are failing in doing that. So the question is how to tackle that. This is something that we've been struggling with in Israel. We are talking about this with foreign governments. We are talking about this with major corporations. There are some advances here and there, but still this is something that is very difficult to deal with in general, not just for Israel, but for the entire international community.
And I wanted to ask you, you said people count the most in this scenario. How is this transition from talking to people as an ambassador to talking to the social media for you on a personal level?
Oh, okay. I think at the end of the day, social media is important, but it has its limitations, because social media, it's the interaction there is not very effective to the extent that people are very concentrated in what they think. There's not a real dialogue going on. And a lot of time it's more just messaging and not really a productive thing. Okay, so you can put your position, you can do it in a more sophisticated or less sophisticated way, but at the end of the day, those who are going to be exposed to your message are mainly those who support you, not those who object to you. And because of the fact that we are pretty outnumbered in social media, you will always see a lot of hatred going on there and a very low level of dialogue. In the main, let's say, mainstream media, there is still an advantage, at least here in Romania, because here in Romania, a lot of people still consume a lot of TV. There are many channels, including news channels, and the people that interview you actually have actual questions that are interesting for the audience, and it's a product that has a higher level. So I concentrated, at least at the beginning of the war, a lot of my time in giving interviews to television and radio, and much less in social media. Yes, we are present in social media. We put there the content that we produce, both at by the State of Israel, but also by ourselves. But it has a limited exposure. At the end of the day, I'm not afraid or concerned from answering hard questions. And this when you go to a serious TV program, you are going to be asked hard questions. These are the best questions because we have good answers. And it's good to be challenged to give the answers on the difficult questions, because then people actually can judge whether what you're saying is worthy, whether your position is valid.
Whereas social media would be like superficial, right?
To a certain extent, yes. Look, you can put more nuanced content in social media, but as I told you, it will have only limited access. So I'll give an example. Regardless from the war, okay? When it comes to the approach of an ambassador, how to put himself on social media. So usually when I created posts, I tried to post things that have meaning, that have relevance, not just posing a picture of myself, I don't know, drawing or which is sometimes not bad, because you want to portray the fact that you are a human like everybody else. But at the end of the day, I thought, maybe I'm not an expert on social media, but instinctively I thought that people will regard our work more seriously if we post on things that have a meaning, whether it be in the field of developing cooperation in agriculture, or fighting anti-Semitism, or talking about the Jewish heritage, or talking about the challenges that we have, visiting somewhere in Romania, promoting tourism. It has to have a purpose, and this goes back to what I said at the beginning, that I see my job as being measured by what is the impact, what difference I managed to make in my short mandate. So I try to apply to social media as well.
You mentioned purpose, and now you've outlined all of these responsibilities, aspects to take into consideration. And as someone who is thinking about maybe having a career in this domain in the future, I can't help but ask you, how do you manage all of the stress and pressure that must come with the position?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's not that stressful.
Really?
Okay.
Really?
Well, it depends. Everything you have to compare it to other things, right?
True.
Everything is relative in life. So to be under stress, I was under stress when I was working at the Prime Minister's office much more than when I'm here, and I was under much more stress when I was serving in reserve army in conflict zone, or if I had a personal challenge with a family that I had to overcome. That's much more stressful. Being an ambassador, it's not that hard. It depends where you served, where you serve. Sometimes there are some embassies some countries in which it's more intensive. So the privilege when you serve in a regular country is that you can actually it's easier to create an agenda for yourself, because you sometimes when you get to a very intensive place, you are being dragged by events. Okay, so for example, when I served in Washington, there you have a huge amount of delegations coming all the time. You have very important issues at the national level that have to do with the national security of the State of Israel that are being determined, policies are being determined by other people, and you just have to implement it, okay? You have to try to see where are the opportunities to advance the goals of the interests of the country and the goals of the policy in the most efficient way. But you cannot shape the relation itself because it is very wide, it's well established, it is being done on a daily basis by thousands of people. Okay, so you can find a niche. So, for example, when I was in Washington, I tried to find a niche promoting the visa waiver program that I felt that I could make a difference. I identified that there was challenge with our own bureaucracy, and I found a way to overcome that. Here in Romania, it's different because you have a lesser number of people dealing with the policy, and you have a unique capability because of the fact that you sit in the country to take a look at what's going on, gather the information that you need, the intelligence that you need in order to understand what's going on, and then map the opportunities. So, for example, here in Romania, after several months, I devised, let's say, 5 flagship programs or projects that I want to promote, okay? Which I'll be very happy to share with you. I'll try to do it very short, I promise.
Of course.
For example, the first thing that I noticed, even before I came to Romania, it's relevant for the entire European continent, is that the security perspective, the geopolitical situation completely changed as a result of the Russian invasion to Ukraine. And that created a situation in which many countries are trying to rebuild their defense capabilities. And Romania has traditionally had a pretty robust defense industry that has been deteriorating or decaying during the years as a result of the lack of necessity. And Israel, on the other side, had to develop defense industries because of the challenges that we face, and because of the geographical proximity, the mentality proximity, the need in Romania, and also the need of Israeli industries to build factories abroad in order to be able to cope with the quantity of demand that we have for our products and the lack of manpower. I identified that we have a huge potential of cooperation in defense industries between Israel and Romania. So we have here already 4 factories by Elbit Systems, which is one of the 3 biggest defense companies in Israel, which was established actually in Israel by Romanian immigrants.
Really?
Yes.
When?
In the 50s.
Wow.
So they already have 4 factories here, and my aim is to try to bring other big firms like IAI and Rafael and others to start, building factories here as well, together with Romanians. And this can be can give a huge advantage not only to us but also to Romanian industries. And I've been, working on that together with stakeholders here in this country, the Ministry of Defense, the Foreign Ministry, and other people that play a role in the decision making in Romania regarding these issues, because the potential is great, and we have actually very specific projects that we want to advance together. We are the only country, basically almost the only country, that is offering to invest in these defense factories in Romania of sophisticated weapons, whether it be missile defense systems or satellites or ships and other things that can be constructed here in Romania. This will give a huge edge to Romanian industry, to the Romanian military, to the Romanian economy, and I hope that decisions will be made soon regarding this realm. Now, another field that we identified is in the high-tech sector. I noticed that in many countries what Israel does is that we sort of introduce the concept of innovation to remote areas in the country that haven't yet developed a concept or things like that. I got to the conclusion that this is not important enough, that this doesn't make the difference that we want to make, because other countries are doing it, and because the European Union is already investing in that regard. And what I realized after doing some research is that one of the main challenges Romania has in the high-tech sector is that it's very difficult for startups to grow to become unicorns. Okay, you have a robust high-tech sector with a lot of good engineers and good companies, but they have a challenge after they create a product to reach global markets and to grow.
That's a good observation. Yes.
So you have one unicorn. Okay, in Israel we had the same problem a few decades ago, like 20, 30 years ago. We had a very good people, but actually they would be bought by American companies at a very
Small price.
small price, and before they manage to grow, or they are closed because they don't find any finance. So they get the first few millions, but then they dry out. Okay, so the government devised a few ways in which we can support the high-tech companies, but also there are few things that the high-tech companies can do in order to actually get access to global investors. So we identified a center of R&D in Israel that belongs to one of the biggest funds in the United States that actually specializes in that, in scale-up. It's called scale-up. Okay, and we're going to launch this program in July here in Romania and invite Romanian startups to participate in the scale-up program. We have got some stakeholders that actually believe in this. Raiffeisen Bank has put $100,000 in that. And the companies themselves, the participants, after they identified and screened, they are going to have to invest some money themselves. But the idea is to have a program of about 5 months that most of it will be virtual, but it will include also 1 week in Israel, with hundreds of meetings in Israel with developers, investors, different people from the ecosystem. And we hope that this program will create the next unicorn in Romania. Okay?
We hope so too.
So evidently you have the work part covered. But I'd also like to know whether you believe you found a balance between work and life. Have you found that balance? How do you still have time for your family?
Sport, maybe.
Yeah,
we know you do sport as well. Maybe that helps.
Yeah. We have time. Look, one of the important things in life is to create a good team. Okay, because sometimes, when you start the first time in your life you start managing people, it's very challenging. Because you have to trust other people to do things that sometimes you know how to do better than them. Okay? Mm-hmm. So the question is not whether you are better than the people you employ. The question is whether you are able to delegate authority to people, even though you know they will do, not necessarily will do a better job than you. Sometimes they will, because they have a field of specialty that you don't possess. But you have to build the team. You have to build the trust. You have to let people understand what you expect from them. You have to monitor their performance. And if you manage to do that, and you manage to create a situation that even when you are absent, everything works, then you have time to do other things. But you have to invest time in that. If you manage, some people are just not capable of trusting others. And then there is another stage in which you have to trust managers to manage things instead of you. So there is a saying that you become a director or a manager only when you have managers, that you're in charge of managers. Because then really you completely lose control. You control on the daily work of people. Okay? So you have to know how to do that. If you know how to do that and you are replaceable, if you build yourself to be irreplaceable, then you will never be a good manager and you will never have time to do anything because you have to do everything yourself. But if you have the talent of delegating authority and actually using the potential of people. So, the first time I became a director, I had the tendency when I came to the office to start working on things that I want to do. But then I realized that if I do that, and I don't, first of all, invest time in making sure that the people I'm in charge with, they have a full day. They have missions. Their missions are well defined. They know how to do, and they start working. Then it's complete waste. Because imagine the country or the organization spends a lot of money in employing these people, but you're not using their potential. And instead, you're concentrating in yourself. So after I verified that all my employees have missions and they know what they want to do, and if they have doubt, they have access to me, but because I'm not that busy, right? Then the input of the output of the entire organization will grow. So my output, my personal output, is secondary. The most important thing is the output of the organization. If you manage to create a situation in which the organization is working and the output is growing, then you have time to do other things.
So to create trust and delegate authority properly.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes.
I would call that an advantage.
Yes.
And a quality. And now, speaking of qualities, could you tell us 2 more qualities of yours, which maybe helped you in the ambassador job?
Maybe 2 qualities you've attained in
Yeah.
your career.
Oh, well, I think that something that I always liked is to hear about, to hear stories, to listen to people, to curiosity. Like you can be curious when it comes to research and science. You can be curious about other people, and when you are curious and you manage to open up people and you listen to them, then you learn a lot of things. So I remember, one of the things that I liked when I was a kid is to listen to stories of old people.
I can relate to that.
And there are some people, they don't have patience for that, but I found it actually quite fascinating. And I remember my first posting abroad was in Egypt.
Whoa.
And there we had, I was dealing with I was in charge of the economic field there. And so the business community was pretty open. It wasn't like tough. It wasn't as tough as when you have to deal with people that deal with policy and with journalism it was very antagonistic towards Israel. The business community usually is more pragmatic, more practical. And and I used to, in dinners and lunches and meetings in offices, I used to spend time to speak with retired people that usually don't have anybody that listens to them. And I used to sit down and listen to them, and I learned a lot about Egypt in this way, a lot. And it was so fascinating. So first of all, you have to be curious, and part of being curious is studying the language, right? Because when you study the language is like a gate to an entire civilization. Yeah. Because there are things that you cannot translate. You have to grasp is even if you don't learn the language to a level that you are proficient as a native, through language you get a lot of the cultural vibe. You understand a lot of concepts.
The people.
Yeah, the people.
It's like an open gate.
Yeah, the humor. Okay, I remember a few months ago we brought an Israeli classical movie to Bucharest and we translated it to Romanian. So when we translated it to Romanian, 50% of the jokes were.
Oh yeah, they never make sense.
They never. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
the expressions and
right.
everything.
So it's like I'm not sure that this is the case, but there's some research that says that the human being only uses 20% of his brain, right?
Maybe even less.
Maybe even less, right? Yeah. So by opening up to another culture, it's like you open up your head to completely different concepts and ideas that you never imagined that existed. So I was privileged to be exposed to the Arab world, to the American culture, and when I got the nomination to be ambassador in Romania, the first thing I did is start, studying Romanian.
How is it going?
It actually went very well, because at the beginning it was very frustrating. When you study a new language, it's very frustrating because you spend a lot of hours, you don't get much.
And Romanian
right.
isn't particularly an easy language.
Yeah, but I had some advantage because I know Spanish, and only after you study it every day for a long period of time, then when you get to the country, it's like an explosion. Suddenly everything starts popping up. It's like like a seed that you irrigated for a long time, and suddenly you see the seedling coming out.
Not drying out.
Yeah.
Right.
So it happened to me in Egypt. I studied Arabic for many years, but I wasn't able to speak. But 1 month after I arrived to Egypt, I could speak Arabic fluently. So here in Romania, fortunately, the level of my language is such that I can understand most of the things that are being told, especially if they are in subjects that I know, okay? And when people speak clearly, but I can also express myself in Romanian if I prepare a speech, for example, okay? And it has an advantage. So curiosity is very important, and investing in untapping the potential of that curiosity. So this is one quality that is important. I don't know. There are probably other qualities. You have to be able to express yourself accurately, and that gives you an advantage. When you are not capable of expressing yourself in the way you want, then your capability to sort of give your message in podcasts like this or on television is limited. So that's also another proficiency you have to learn. But I think curiosity is more an issue of character. There are many proficiencies you can acquire as a diplomat, to express yourself in writing, to learn about diplomacy, to learn about the history, to understand, how the world is being built and what are the opportunities to advance your interest. These are things that you learn with experience, but things that have to do with character and that you cannot have a lot of. So if you are not very curious, it's better for you not to become a diplomat.
Of course. So we just spoke about qualities, and now I got another curiosity. What about maybe 2 or 3 defects that you've maybe accumulated?
Oh, that's.
This is a harder question.
How much time do we have? Look, I think that for me, one of the challenges when it comes to my personality was to overcome my impulsiveness.
Okay.
Because I used to be a very impulsive person, especially when I was younger. And as a diplomat, it's not very healthy to be impulsive. You have to think twice before you open your mouth, because it has implications. Because you are not responsible only for yourself, but also for your country. And part of that, I think it's in the same family of deficiencies, also impatience. I'm pretty impatient.
We have a common defect.
And you have to be more patient. Sometimes, you can educate yourself to be more patient. It took me a lot of effort to become more patient, and I didn't always succeed. So these are two qualities that are not very healthy if you are a diplomat. I had to work on them.
Very, very well said. I'd like to go, before we continue, back to, so you said you served in the military reserves. If I'm not mistaken, you served in Israel's paratroopers brigade as well. And I personally love the show Fauda, the blockbuster from Netflix. And since you probably know all the military techniques, procedures, strategies, I was wondering whether you could tell us how real Fauda is. Does it depict reality? Or
look, I think that the main reason, I'm not an expert on media productions, but I think that one of the things that made Fauda so popular is that it talks about real lives, about real dilemmas of real people, and it gives you the humane side and the price that people pay as a result of their involvement in defending the country. And it doesn't try to portray the Israeli side or the Palestinian side as more moral or more beautiful. It's not about sending a message who's right or who's wrong, but just trying to show as in a realistic way as much as possible all the dilemmas and all the challenges that both sides of the conflict have. Okay.
And that it's not black or white; it has many shades of gray, right?
Yes, and that's why it also became very popular in the Arab world. Actually, found that very popular in the Arab world. Yeah. The things that have to do with techniques, and yes, I can tell you as somebody that, I haven't been dealing with counterterrorism in the same way that this unit in Fauda is doing, because I never disguised myself as not being a soldier or anything like that. But it is very, very, let's say, realistic. It projects reality in a very good way, and I think this is one of the reasons that it's a good series. Mm-hmm. I think that I haven't seen before a lot of series that
accurately
with this kind of action that show the human side, the family side, the price that you pay, the mental challenges you have to overcome. Yes, in situations like that.
So we've talked about your past, about the military experience. We can conclude that you have a lot of past experience. So what advice would you give a young person who wants to advance in a career, or to somebody looking to be successful in
to find their path?
Yeah.
Well, I always talk about the 3 parameters. Okay. Is what's your passion, what you are talented at, and what is the chance that this field is relevant in order to make a difference in the world. So sometimes, ideally, when you find a situation in which all these 3 parameters are met fully, then you can actually be you can be very successful and make a huge difference in the world. It is part of our moral values as Jews that you were born for a purpose, and you have to do something to improve the world while the short time in which you are present in this world. And, I, for example, when I grew up in Jerusalem, I was very curious about our neighbors, and that's why I decided to study Arabic. Okay. When I went to the army, I wanted to do something significant, so I volunteered for a combat unit. But after I left the army, it had an impact on me, and it was challenging for me to go back to a situation in which I, have an interest in engaging with the Arab world, because I saw the difficult parts of it. And sometimes when you see the difficult parts, it gives you you feel disillusioned that maybe it's lost, maybe it's not worth investing in it. But when I entered the foreign ministry, I rediscovered my tendency, to deal with that. And one of my first missions were after the Oslo agreements is to go to the Gaza Strip. And to actually engage with Fatah leaders and the Palestinian Authority.
Straight up to the point.
And do cooperation. So I felt very passionate about it, because I felt that I am doing something that I like, that I have a passion for, that I have some talent in doing, and that can make a difference.
So the 3 parameters were...
Well, I wasn't getting rich out of it. Actually, my salary at that time was pretty low. But culturally, I felt very happy.
Some things go beyond the salary.
Yeah, that I can go from fighting our neighbors to cooperating with our neighbors. That gave me a lot of satisfaction. And also when I went to Egypt, even though it was very frustrating, because many times I wanted to do things that failed, because my counterparts didn't want to engage in this kind of cooperation. I found a way of cooperation. I found a way of doing some cooperation projects, and I felt I'm making some difference. So it's up to you. You have to find your passion. You have to find your passion. If you're talented, I don't know, in computing, and you want to develop a software that will, I don't know, save lives or create the next solution for global warming or whatever. You see that there is a need. You have a talent to do it, and you have the passion. Then you can fulfill yourself. That's a great thing. This is what you have to look for, probably. And everybody will have a tendency or a different passion. It doesn't matter. But the question is if you can reach that situation in which you are satisfied because you did something that you think makes a difference and you are talented at it more than others.
Well, I think that a lot of these young people looking to find their path that Maria mentioned are here at Lau de Reut, and we couldn't go without mentioning our high school. So to put it simply, what does Lau de Reut mean to you, and how has your involvement with our high school impacted your mission in Romania?
Well, something that really struck me when I met Tova is that this quest for excellence, this passion about doing something, but doing it in a total way, until without any compromise, really creating excellence. And it's very difficult to create excellence.
It is.
It is. And sometimes overwhelming.
Yeah, it's very demanding. So you can be good. It's pretty easy to be good if you are, an intelligent person. You grow in an average family, you can get good results. But to get excellent results, the delta from good to excellent is huge.
Like the business, from good business to unicorn.
Yeah. So, So I saw that Tova has it. She has proof. She cracked it. Okay.
She did.
It's not easy to crack it, and it's a privilege to be part of an excellent organization, because then you are being taught how to do it. Sometimes I was in the crossroads of my life that I felt that I don't have guidance. I don't have guidance. I want to do something. I'm very passionate about it. I want to invest in doing it. I have almost endless motivation, but I don't have guidance. So the fact that you have the guidance here, it means that you can fully exploit your potential. And this is just the beginning, because this is just the potential that you found. Yeah. You are at an age in life in which you have reached the mental and the physical development that allows you to have a learning curve that is very, very rapid. Okay? If you waste that window of opportunity when you become older, your capability to get that
it decreases.
So the fact that you have this opportunity here, actually, it's a huge jump start for life. And that's why I've been very cooperative and very open to any initiative that comes from Lau de Reut, because first of all, I'm myself learning from it, and second is because I know that this will make a difference. This will serve something, and I've been following the projects that Lau de Reut is involved in. They have huge educational impact, both on the students but also on society at large. And it's a privilege to be able to interact with such an operation.
Now, speaking of making a change, I found my passion in medicine. So I wanted to ask you, it's more of a personal question. Why is Israel's medical school only for Israeli citizens? Because it was my first option, but because I'm not an Israeli citizen, I cannot go study their medicine. And I know that Israel has a great research and health system.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure that this continues to be the case because there are several options for studying medicine in Israel if you are not an Israeli citizen. So we can work on that personally after we finish the podcast. But we had a challenge, actually. I had a lot of arguments with my wife, actually, about this because she comes from the health sector in Israel. She's been a nurse and a midwife for many years. And we had a challenge in Israel that we used to lean a lot on doctors that were trained abroad. And we had very strict standards when it comes to the practical part of the studies. In order to create good doctors, our system believed that you have to have one-on-one practical training. So because of the fact that we don't have many hospitals and many, we don't have many universities that actually approve studying if you don't meet that requirement. So the number of graduates we used to produce in Israel were, until now, about less than 50% of what we need in Israel because of this strict standard. So we have an aging population of doctors that are going to retire in the coming years, and we don't have enough native Israeli doctors. So what the system decided to do in the last 2 or 3 years is to change the parameters and to allow, first of all, more than one-on-one, to have larger groups of students going with doctors in their training. And we are introducing also second shifts.
What are second shifts?
Like instead of just training with a doctor between 9 to 5, doing a training session between 5 and 12 at midnight, for example. So in this way, so in Israel, we opened another school of faculty of medicine in Tzfat that is linked with Bar Ilan University. For the first time, there's going to be a private school of medicine in Israel by Reuven University, because all the other were public universities. In this way, the number of students is going, or the graduates is going to grow. Now, the number of faculties and of students, the quota was so low that in order to be accepted to medicine in Israel, you had to be a genius. Okay, so and it was very difficult. So many Israelis went to study abroad. Now, if you study abroad, when you come back, you have to pass
on
examination. Yes. Oh. No, you have to pass an examination. Yes. So this is another way in which we get more doctors. But there is awareness in the Israeli academic system that it's not very healthy for us to have only Israeli students. We are encouraging students for abroad because when you have people that are coming from abroad, it gives more,
insights in different perspectives.
Yes, insights, perspectives. It brings more richness into the system. We didn't need much in the past because we were a society of migrants. So most of the people that were studying medicine were coming from migrant families or they were immigrants themselves. But now things are changing because now, most of the population in Israel are people that were born in Israel. So we need more this diversity, and therefore I think there is a gradual process of opening up that will allow people like you, more opportunities to study.
Thank you.
I think I'll switch the subject back to Romania for just a little bit because I read something interesting this morning that I think is relevant to our discussion. And that is the fact that in many rankings, Romania is ranked as number 1 in terms of friendliness towards Israeli citizens. I wanted to ask you whether you believe that is accurate and how would you describe your personal experience in Romania?
Well, the secret of the relations between Israel and Romania has to do with heritage and the people-to-people factor. We have in Israel, by now, almost probably 1 million people that have some kind of Romanian descent. Okay, and this has had a huge impact on the relationship because most of the things that are happening in foreign, in relations between countries are not the things that are being done by ambassadors because we live in the global world. So everybody today is his own ambassador. A university they manage their external relations with other universities abroad. theater in Israel. Like last week we had the Yiddish Spiel from Israel coming to visit the Teatro Hebreesc de Stad, right? So this
beautiful play as well.
Yeah. So these people-to-people contact, they create a relationship. So as much as you have people that have cultural relations, personal relations, they create the content of the they are the mass that creates the quality of the relation. So in that regard, we have a huge advantage that we have this personal connection between Romania and Israel that goes back many years. These people, they have a cultural background. They have a character. You know, so for good and bad, we are similar in many ways, Romanians and Israelis. You know.
That's true.
So this makes people to interact more easily because there are less cultural differences between the two. Israel is also very near to Romania geographically, so the potential for you know, of developing relations is huge. Many Israelis find in Romania an opportunity now because of the process of integration of Romania into the European Union, the fact that there is a rapid change going in Romania, even if the change in Romania was slower than the change we've seen in, I don't know, in some of the Central and Eastern European countries, still there is a huge improvement in the environment of Romania that makes Romania very attractive to investment. So as a result of this high-tech explosion we had in Israel, we had a lot of investors that want to diversify their investments and they are investing in Romania, whether it be in real estate or in solar energy or in factories or in joint ventures from different kinds. Tourism is a huge potential that it's one of my 5 projects. The other ones, by the way, are water.
Water, yes.
How with the watering system, the irrigation. Yeah.
Well, it's not just irrigation. There is a huge challenge in the world that has to do with changing climate conditions and the fact that basically the Balkans are drying up. Okay, the entire Balkan region is suffering from much less precipitation, and Romania is at the edge of this region. So all the southern part of Romania is basically drying up. It means that you need more water from the Danube, more water from underground resources, more water from the north. And at the end of the day, there are solutions that have been developed in Israel for many years that have proven very efficient that may be applicable for Romania. So we are working on that very, very intensively. There is a huge issue of what to do with sewage water that actually is preoccupying a lot of people because the European Union would like to see a situation which instead of using fresh water, people start cleaning used water and reuse water. And this is something that is very difficult to sell in Europe in general. People are not used to that. And it will take time until this is developed. So we are doing a pilot project here in Romania in this regard. And we've brought people from different ministries in Romania to learn how it's being done in Israel. And we are doing it in cooperation with the mayor of Buzău in a project that is going to demonstrate how this can be done. So I believe this has a huge potential, not just for Romania, for the entire European continent. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry that has also opportunities for us because we have companies that can share their knowledge and experience in this regard. And we are already engaged with water companies here in Romania in this field.
And you feel this field was already developed when you came to the position?
It started to be developed because we have already all the main irrigation companies from Israel already present in Romania. But this dimension of the reusing water is something very new.
Yes.
That we are now planting the seeds, but it will come into fruition in the next 10, 20 years at the continental level, not just at the Romanian level.
Like to change the routines, to make a routine of reusing.
Yeah, I'll give an example, okay? How reusing water is going to solve many problems. First, it has to do with lack of resources. Okay, you don't want to disturb nature by taking more water from nature and destroying your natural habitats and your environment by taking the water. Okay, so for example, if everybody would take now all the water from the Danube, you wouldn't have a Danube, and you already have times of the year in which the levels of water in the Danube is so low that you cannot even navigate. Okay, so you don't want to make the situation more acute. So it can create huge problems that have to do not just with nature but also with the economy. Then it's also about the carbon
dioxide.
About the carbon output.
The emission, yeah.
Because the carbon emissions. Because if you take the sewage water and you purify it and you reuse it, and you don't take new water, it means that the sewage water has a lot of carbon inside. When you clean it, you can either reuse it or send it back to the river, and actually you lower the carbon emissions. Okay, so there are a lot of things that you earn from the fact that actually you deal with the residues that you have, whether it be solid residues or liquid residues. There is an entire industry of fertilizers that you can take out of the system when you clean the water, right? But of course, this has to done in the right way in order not to create health hazards, because there might be chemicals in the water, there might be other hazards that you have to deal with. But at the end of the day, these are solutions that can be implemented in a successful way for the interest of the economy and of the country.
We look forward to those solutions, of course.
We have a tradition here at the Ce Mai Zici podcast for each of our guests to leave a message in any language you want in this book.
Yeah, just take it out. Yeah, any message you wish to leave. Let me just open it up. Okay, second. That's here.
If you want a pen.
Yeah. Please. I have to take my glasses too. So should I read it? Because it will be very difficult for you.
Yes, if you wish.
Okay. So I wish all Lauder Road graduates that have received great tools to deal with life challenges to be able to fully use these tools to improve society and make the world a better place.
So nice. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time, for your amazing insight. Everyone who watched, thank you as well. We hope you've been able to learn something, and best of luck with your 5 plans.
Thanks. Thank you very
everyone.
much.
All the best.